Hey, Marion and Rich Patterson with Winding Pathways, and Kelsey Spots and Michael Nope from Hoover's Hatchery here to do a filming on what to do about the summertime and the heat. Well, as you can see, we're dressed up for the wintertime. And it's fine to have a hat on in the wintertime because we lose a lot of heat from our head. And it's wonderful to have a coat on in the wintertime because, well, it's cold. I wouldn't probably normally wear shorts, but who knows, I might. But our topic today is about heat. So, Rich, fill us in a little bit. I'm going to take my coat off now because I don't really need my heat. Why do we have to be worried about heat in the summertime with chickens? Because didn't they grow up in the tropics?
They did. They originally came from tropical Southeast Asia, where it's hot and humid. But they're jungle animals, so it was shady there.
Oh.
Okay? And then we bring them here, and unfortunately, chickens in many ways are like people. In some ways, they're not like people. And the most dangerous weather event for people that kills people is heat.
And didn't you say
hot summer days?
More than 500,000 people worldwide die from heat every single year. And decades ago, Theodore Roosevelt did something to help people in New York City in those tenements. Because when it's hot, I don't want to be cozying up to Rich or anybody else. I want space. Just go away. I don't want to be near anybody. So what did he do?
What he did that saved lives. In 1896, there was a tremendous 10-day heat event. It was really hot. People lived crammed in tenements. There was nothing green there. Everything was pavement or brick buildings, and families were crowded together, sometimes 2 or 3 families in just a couple of rooms. And there was no way for them to get rid of heat and cool down. So Theodore Roosevelt recognized that. He was the police commissioner or a police commissioner, and he told the fire department, go there with your water and with your pipes, spray everything down. And the fire department went down. They sprayed the buildings with water. They sprayed the pavement with water, and the temperature came down about 3 degrees. And that was probably enough to save lives.
That's interesting. So Theodore Roosevelt, before he was president and had all of his fame by the Rough Riders and all that, did that simple technique. And we're going to talk more about how to keep the chickens safe from heat. And one of those would have to do with water. But let's take a look right now. We talked about why are chickens vulnerable to heat? I mean, I've got my jacket in my hand. I'm not going to wear this thing.
Here's a way we're different. In the wintertime, we can put on coats. We can snuggle under a quilt at night, and we get warmer. But when the weather gets hot, we can take those coats off, and we're a little bit more comfortable. Wear shorts, short sleeve shirts. Chickens can't do that. And one of the best insulations known are feathers and down. And you look at our chickens, here it is a hot day, and they're still carrying around wearing feathers and down. So they are unable to do what people can do.
Sure.
Okay? So we need to take some action that will help them cool down.
All right, well, let's take a look around and see what we've got going here. So the first one is shade, and Rich mentioned shade is important. So I'm going to ask Kelsey to kind of pan around here. Usually this run has a lot of good vegetation in it, but we in Cedar Rapids have been in drought. We're half the rainfall for the year. And Rich, tell us what we see down here. And look where the chickens are, way down by that little cottonwood tree. Rich, what are we seeing for shade?
We used to have a few shades, shrubs out there, and anybody who was here and saw our previous videos would have seen those real thick shrubs. And I began reading about disease transmission to chickens that could come from wild birds. Those shrubs were just crowded with sparrows, and the droppings from the sparrows would fall down under the chickens. The chickens loved being underneath, but I didn't want to take a chance with disease, so I cut down those shrubs, and I made some shelters, shade shelters. And they're real simple. They're just made out of old pallets and crates that I got free. This is an old truck tonneau cover, and it does two things. It lets the chickens go in there and get shade. It also is a safe haven, and they're always watching the sky. And if there would be a hawk, some bird up high that would come down and catch a chicken for dinner, they give a distress call and they will run quickly under something. So this gives them a safe haven from the sun and a safe haven from avian predators above.
And also, I noticed that we saw underneath the tonneau cover, there's a little depression there, and it looks like the birds get in there. They're not there right now, but tell us a little bit, why are those little depressions there?
A way a chicken can cool itself down is to press its breast close against the earth, and the dirt stays cooler. So they love to do a dust bath. You know, they get in and they fluff all around, but when it's very hot, they'll get even closer. They'll get their bellies right up next to the ground where it's cool, and it's a way they can cool off. When they're in under a shade shelter in some of this bare dirt, they're as cool as they could be outside.
Good.
So we deliberately leave some bare dirt under the shade shelters to let them do that.
Okay. And now there's another way. So we have the outdoor part. You have a broom and you have a fan here. So what are these all about, and how do these help the birds stay cool?
Ventilation is really important. And the chickens come in at night. They roost here in the coop, okay, where they're safe from raccoons and all kinds of other nighttime things, and they sleep. And we have cross ventilation here that helps.
Right.
And we have over the windows, we have a double layer of screening. And one is really heavy duty screening, keep the raccoons out.
Right.
But then we have mosquito mesh to keep the gnats and the mosquitoes out. And that can be a problem. Chickens produce a lot of dust, and dust will build up on a mosquito netting thing. So routine maintenance, I just take my broom.
Let's take a look here. What's he doing here? All right, hold on till we get in here and let's take a look. Oh, the chickens. This is little Miss Onyx here. So take a look here. We see the heavy netting and we see the mosquito netting as well. Oh, and the chickens think there's a snack, but there's not.
So every once in a while I come in here and I just...
You can see that dust. Get
rid of the dust from there. And my broom's also handy for getting rid of cobwebs. And we look at this as sort of in a way, it's a little bit of a tourist attraction. People come here to see the chickens, and we welcome them. And many of them have gotten very interesting chickens. But I don't want them to see a lot of cobwebs. I want it to look tidy and neat. So a broom is my tool to help in ventilation. But it's not the only tool.
No, there's one more here. You have something. What's the fan all about? And what about if somebody doesn't have electricity in the barn where they keep the chickens? How would they manage ventilation?
When it's really hot, those August nights when it's hot and humid and there isn't a whiff of breeze, I'll come in with a fan, turn it on, and point it over there so they get a little bit of breeze.
Okay, now what's the difference between a breeze and a draft? Because in the wintertime, we do not want drafts. So what's the difference?
They're the same thing, okay? It's air moving over you, and chickens don't like cold drafts in the wintertime. So
neither do I.
Come fall, we close the windows and we plug up anything that might cause a draft. In the summer, we encourage drafts because in the summer there are breezes, and the chickens like them. And my fan helps with the breeze. Many people don't have electricity in their coop. If you have electricity, you can just plug in a regular fan. If you don't have electricity, there are a number of battery-operated fans that you can buy, and they do the same. They'll run most of the night on one battery charge.
Good.
And it just helps them be a little bit cooler.
All right, so we've talked some about shade, dust baths, ventilation, those two ways of keeping the dust out and also producing some cross ventilation and a fan. And there are a couple of others. I think we're going to step outside now and take a look at the last one that you're talking about, keeping the building cool.
Two things about keeping cool. This building's white, and that does help. It reflects some heat. We also have photovoltaic, solar electric on the roof right above us here that generate electricity, but they also shade the roof and help keep it a little cooler. But we're going to go outside and we'll show what Theodore Roosevelt did to save human lives that can be used to save chicken lives.
All right, here we go.
We're using the Theodore Roosevelt technique, and he used it in 1896 to save human lives in the tenements of New York by having the fire department sprinkle water, spray water up on the buildings and on the pavement. And on a really hot night, we can do the same thing on the coop. So I just come out and I wet it down pretty well, the walls and the roof. I go around the coop and do that, and the evaporation will cool it a couple of degrees, and it will help. So thanks to Theodore Roosevelt, we can save chickens today.
But we've talked about several ways to keep the chickens cooler, and we've talked about some crowding, but there's one other one about keeping them calm. What's that one about?
Yes. Chickens get hot. They're just like people. You know, if a person runs hard,
right,
you're running, you're real nervous, you're moving around. What does the body do?
Creates heat.
Creates heat. So do chickens. So as much as possible, keep the chickens calm and still on hot days. You don't want them running around.
And they're over there. They're not doing much right now, except they did come in when they thought we were going to give them a treat. But then they said, oh, you guys are slackers. So they're back down underneath a cottonwood tree, just all together and out of the sun.
It's not good to move chickens when it's very hot. Okay, it is toxic to them. So on a hot day, if you went trying to grab them and you got them all excited and you crammed them in a little crate in the back of the pickup truck and you're going to drive them 30 miles over there, good chance they're going to be dead when you get there.
So when
if
would I do
they have to be moved, and you have to do it in the summer, wait till night when it's cooler, but it's better to wait for a cool day or fall.
Okay. All right. Well, those are ways that we keep the chickens calm, cool, collected, and then we can collect the eggs, which is really nice. And probably in the wintertime, we'll talk more about the winter kind of things that we need to be aware of. We always end up our filming with Hoover's Hatchery and Winding Pathways talking about a tip of the month. What do you have for us, Rich?
Yeah, we have several tips of the month, but we mentioned it a little bit earlier that it's a good idea to keep the chickens as far away from wildlife as possible, whether that is mice that are trying to get into the coop or more likely sparrows or other birds that are coming into the run. So we did remove the trees here that the sparrows loved. Okay, we plug the coop up as much as we can to reduce the number of mice coming in, and we have a trap line. We catch them, keep those things, but try to keep wildlife and chickens as separate as possible, and that reduces the odds that those birds or a mouse is going to bring in some kind of a disease. They also like to eat chicken feed, so it can save some food money.
All right. Well, we are Rich and Marion Patterson with Winding Pathways, Kelsey and Michael from Hoover's Hatchery, and thank you. We'll catch up with you another time. So thanks for coming to see about heat and chickens. See you later.